It's finally happening. We have a massive update about the Kyren Williams extension talks currently undergoing between his agent and the Rams, as well as a new Bill Barnwell article discussing where exactly the Rams' offensive skill position unit ranks as a whole. And welcome back to another episode of Rams Digest. I'm your host, Joshua Finehirsh. And before we get into today's episode, make sure to hit that subscribe button and hit that notification bell, turn notifications to all so you do not miss any new daily Rams Digest videos covering all things Rams, as we are on the road to 4K by training camp. We are around 220 away right now, so make sure to hit that subscribe button so we can hit 4K by the start of training camp, July 24th. And we're going to get underway with our first story today from Turf Show Times with The Athletic, talking about the massive update in the Kyren Williams contract extension talks currently undergoing between his representatives and the Rams. And let's get into that right now. Los Angeles Rams running back Kyren Williams has been one of the league's most underappreciated performers. Williams has over 3,000 yards from scrimmage and 31 touchdowns since the 2023 season. Despite those numbers, the Rams have yet to reward him, but it could be on the horizon. According to The Athletic's Jordan Rodrigue, an extension could be worked out by the end of training camp, and that is the big update for you all today, is that this extension is on the looks that it's going to be happening sooner rather than later. Again, we've talked about how the Rams may be potentially cutting loose from Kyren, maybe trading him with the draft pick of Jarquez Hunter, who just recently signed his rookie deal, and already having Blake Corum, but now it looks like they are going to keep Kyren Williams on this roster for right now, as we have a quote from Jordan himself talking about this current situation. The Rams initially opened contract negotiations with Williams' agent Drew Rosenhaus, powerhouse agent, at the league meeting this spring. That the two sides have continued to talk is a good sign, and that an early extension for the Rams' number one rusher could be worked out by the end of training camp. The Rams will not pay top market money for a running back, but Williams is a team leader and one of the more productive at his position in the NFL. He doesn't hit home run explosives, but he tied among his peers for the third most rushing touchdowns in 2024, 14, and ranked 7th in total rushing yards, 1,299. If a compromise can be struck, training camp is the usual timeline for such deals under this era of Rams leadership, and this is from The Athletic writer Jordan Rodrigue. And this is definitely an important note to look at, because for Kyren Williams, you see those stats, again, though, basically 1,300 yards, 14 touchdowns. Again, great fantasy pick if you're playing fantasy football. I'd pick Kyren Williams. He'll get you those touchdowns. But the explosiveness is something that both Josh and I have talked about on this channel for the last few months. This is something that he needs to improve on this regular season. He didn't have a single rush above 30 yards last year throughout the regular season and playoffs, which is quite concerning. The fumbling issues are there. I'm going to take the Philly snow game out of it because that was a snow game. Everyone on the Rams was a little loose with the ball in that one. But he certainly does need to improve in that regard if he is going to be paid like a top running back in the league, because he's not going to get a Saquon or a McCaffrey or a Derrick. Well, Derrick Henry is actually on only $8 million, so he could get something similar to that, but he's not going to get a McCaffrey or a Saquon type deal, as he is not one of those players. Or even we'll see what Bijan and Jahmyr Gibbs get, because they're extension eligible coming up soon as well. I believe Gibbs is extension eligible this year. Bijan, I believe, has one more year on that. I could be wrong on that, but we'll see what those two guys get, as those two look to be elite as well. So we'll see what all these young running backs can get on the open market. As Rodrigue said, LA will not spend top market money for a running back. The front office had to learn its lesson after the Todd Gurley deal. Well, again, the Todd Gurley deal had the arthritis thing happen to Gurley, so on the first year that deal, it was great. So, I mean, if he never gets arthritis, that deal probably ends up looking a lot better than it ends up being. There's no way to know if a guy's going to get arthritis or not, so I'm not really going to blame the front office for that one too much. That was more of an injury to road contract rather than a bad play or bad work ethic to road contract. However, it makes sense to retain Williams for a few more years. He's an outstanding leader on a young team that needs positive role models in the locker room. Those are the players you do almost everything to keep and not let walk out the door. And that's really great to hear about this, that Kyren Williams is one of the leaders of this Rams team. Obviously, you have veteran guys like Stafford and Adams who are the main leaders. We talked about Puka assuming more of a leadership role as well. And now seeing that Kyren is able to do this is absolutely great to see, that he is a leader. His teammates respect him. The coaches respect him. I'm sure the front office respects him, so they would love to have him back on this roster. Again, the Rams would likely be better off to wait until 2026 to extend Williams. The recent running back resurgence, spearheaded by Saquon Barkley and Derrick Henry, is undoubtedly great for the league, Yet their deal shouldn't be an exact model for what the Rams do when it comes time. Yeah, I agree. Again, Saquon is a pretty much one of two if McCaffrey's in his prime, but right now a one of one player in the NFL at that running back position where he can be the best player on your offense and you can win a Super Bowl, as we just saw with the Eagles this past year. Again, Derrick Henry as well. Again, now that he has Lamar Jackson there in Baltimore, you don't have to use him as much as the Titans were. And again, he's just been so great for so long. I mean, that guy, wow, Derrick Henry's going to be a Hall of Famer, first ballot in my opinion for sure. And that contract at $8 million is a steal, and Kyren could potentially get something similar monetary-wise to that as well. NFL execs, coaches, and scouts ranked the league's top 10 running backs in a July 7th article for ESPN, and Williams was nowhere close to the top 10 and wasn't even an honorable mention. If people around the league are not seeing Williams' value, then what must the Rams think as negotiations are going on? Yeah, I don't know how he's not in the top 10. He's not top 5. You got, obviously, Saquon, you got Gibbs, you got Bijan, you got Joe Mixon, Ashton Genty, if you even want to put him in the top 10. Already, Alvin Kamara is still really, really good. Bucky Irving as well. You got Kenneth Walker if he's healthy. You got a ton of great running backs all throughout the league. As well, I mean, a guy like Isaiah Pacheco as well. Like, just so many pieces that you can see potentially falling into place all throughout the league. Let me know if I'm missing him. I'm trying to think off the top of my head. Again, Devon Achane, if he's healthy as well. So, James Cook. How could I forget about James Cook? And we'll see just exactly how all these guys do pan out. And for Kyren, I'm wanting to get into more of a, in detailed explanation here about his season as we get that going for you here right now. And again, Kyren Williams in the final year of his deal. He's had back-to-back 1,000-yard seasons, a Pro Bowl. He's 5'9", 202, good size for a running back. He's 24 right now, will be 25 by week 1. He averaged 5 yards per carry in 2023, which is actually really good and really impressive, but down to 4.1 in 2024, 5 fumbles as well. And he is set to make $5.3 million this year, which would rank him middle of the pack in terms of running back payment. And there's rumors that he wants around that $10 million mark, which is Aaron Jones of the Vikings got that for 2 years at that $10 million price. I think something could be like a Josh Jacobs level contract where you're at around that $7.5, $8 million range. I don't think he's going to get $10 million, but I think $7.5 million, $8 million is a pretty fair compromise for the Rams heading into this offseason. And I want you right now to comment down below what you think about Kyren. Should we pay him, or should the Rams let him walk or trade him? Because I don't think you let a guy like that walk. I think he could have. So again, a team like the Cowboys could make sense to trade for him. A team that could desperately use a better running attack. Even a team like the Steelers right now, you really only got Jalen Warren in that backfield. Teams like that could really use a rushing attack who have a chance to compete. So comment that down below right now what you think. I think that $7 million range is pretty fair. Maybe give him a 3-year, $21 million deal. You don't need to overpay. Don't need to make it too long. And if they trade him, what can they get? I think they can get a third, a fourth, something in that range. I do think Kyren has some value. So comment that down below right now. And like this video for some breaking news today. And now we have to get into our secondary story of today, where Bill Barnwell, our friend, is back, who recently claimed that Matthew Stafford is only Dak Prescott with a ring. This time is back with a much better take about the Rams offense, as we are heading into this story from Rams Wire and ESPN right now. If there is one thing the Los Angeles Rams have always done under Sean McVay, it's surrounding their quarterbacks with playmakers. As an offensive-minded coach, McVay never wants to stop adding pieces on that side of the ball, whether it's by spending early picks on skill players or adding proven veterans like Sammy Watkins, Brandon Cooks, and Devontae Adams. I forgot Sammy Watkins was a Ram back in the day with Jared Goff. Like this video if you remember Rams Sammy Watkins. That is a throwback right there. Yes, I do agree. McVay has done a really good job building around the two quarterbacks he's had here in Los Angeles. Sorry about that. The Rams' core of skill players this year looks outstanding on paper. The big three of Adams, Puka Nacua, and Kyren Williams rival any trio in the NFL, while Tutu Atwell has a ton of speed, Terrence Ferguson is a promising rookie, and Tyler Higbee is a big red zone target at tight end. Yeah, I agree. The skill players this year are going to be great. I think the Terrence Ferguson pick is going to be huge for this offense at the tight end position, running 2 tight end sets. Again, not even talking about Jarquez Hunter potentially breaking out for some big runs, or Jordan Whittington having a breakout season, who I talked about a couple weeks ago in a recent video. If you missed that one, go back and watch it after this one. But they just have so many pieces that they can use on this offense. This offensive unit should be one of the top 10 best in the NFL for sure if everyone stays healthy for this team. As does each year, ESPN's Bill Barnwell ranked every team's group of wide receivers, tight ends, and running backs entering the 2025 season. Barnwell notes that wide receivers were weighed more heavily than the other two position groups, and the list is less about depth than it is the team's top 5 contributors. I do agree with this again, because some teams have way too much depth, some teams have way too little. So I do agree with this mark of the top 5 contributors. And as we get into the quote here from Bill Barnwell, right now, if you can guarantee 17 games from the Rams' Big Three at their 2024 levels of play, they might challenge to rank number 1 here. Puka Nacua missed 6 games and still came within a screen of making it to 1,000 yards, as his 3.7 yards per route comfortably led the NFL. Kyren Williams ranked 6th in rushing yards per game despite not having a single run top 30 yards, something that won't happen again in 2025, I agree. And after a difficult first 3 months of the year, Davante Adams, who was added by LA in free agency, brought in 576 receiving yards and 6 scores from December 1st onward, ranking among the league leaders in both categories. ESPN writer Bill Barnwell. And first off, I gotta like this video for Bill Barnwell having a nice bounce back take here after what we covered on July 4th, which was definitely causes some fireworks there, if you will. And yeah, this is a great take. 5, I think, is a pretty fair ranking. I would not put them number 1. I would personally have the Eagles number 1. You got to give the Eagles that respect coming off the Super Bowl as well. And they just have great players all around on that roster. And for the Rams, I do agree. Health is wealth. And again, Kyren, I do believe Kyren's not ever going to be, he's going to have 50 runs of 30-plus yards. He doesn't need that. Even if he has 8-9 yards of runs of 30-plus yards, it's better than 0. So that's really what we need to see, and the less fumbling. I think Puka and Davante are going to work so well together. And Stafford last year did stay pretty healthy, and I believe that can be the case this year. Again, the DJ Humphries thing and Alaric Jackson's blood clots at left tackle are a bit concerning, but we shall see how that works. The Rams were ranked 23rd on this list in 2023 and 9th last year, but they rose even further for the upcoming season. Barnwell put the Rams 5th, emphasizing just how good the group of Nacua, Adams, and Williams can be if healthy. Oh yeah, definitely health is most important, as we've already gone over. Barnwell does worry about potential regression from Nacua, Williams, and Adams this season, but he says it would hardly be a surprise if they garnered Pro Bowl consideration. As for who else could contribute on offense, he's looking at 4 potential candidates: Tutu Atwell, Jordan Whittington, Higbee, and Ferguson. Atwell is on a $10 million contract, so the Rams better get him involved considering how high his salary is, while Whittington is a promising young receiver who always made the most of his limited opportunities last year. Yeah, I agree. Atwell on that $10 million has to produce. That is a high salary tag, and I don't even know if that's tradable if he's not producing at around the trade deadline. And Whittington, I think, is going to have a big year. Higbee's going to be healthier with Ferguson, so Higbee doesn't have to have all the load on him. I don't see regression from Adams, as in he's going to be regress as a player. Do I think his numbers might go down a tiny bit because he's not going to be number 1 receiver? But I don't think he's overall going to be worse as a player compared to what we've seen these last couple years. Higbee is healthy again, and Ferguson tested as the most athletic tight end in the 2025 draft class, so there's a lot of potential in that group too. Staying healthy is essential, but if the Rams can keep their core on the field together, they could wind up with the best offense in the NFL. Yeah, I 100% fully agree. I would put the Rams around that 5 mark right now as well, because I do think the Bengals have the best offense in football outside the Eagles. Those are the top 2 for me for sure. And then the Rams, for me, you got the Rams, Lions, and teams like that right there trying to keep up with the Eagles and Bengals. And comment down below right now where you think the Rams rank offensively. I would put them in between 3 and 5, I think is fair right now. But comment down below where you have them ranked. And leave something nice about Bill Barnwell in the comments, because this is a nice bounce back take. And I don't really like to dog on media members too much, because they do try their best. But again, that July 4th take, definitely not the best one there. And the only teams ahead of the Rams on Bill Barnwell's list are the Niners at 4, Bengals at 3, and Lions at 2, Eagles at 1. So that's the company LA is keeping. I agree with the top 3 that you could put them ahead of the Rams. I just don't see how the Niners have a better unit than the Rams. Again, if McCaffrey's healthy, 100% he's better than Kyren. George Kittle is far better than either tight end we have, which is fine, but Brandon Ayuk, Jawan Jennings, and Ricky Pearsall is better than Puka Nacua, Davante Adams, and Tutu Atwell. Again, you could say all 3 of those guys are better than Tutu Atwell. But Puka and Devontae are both better than Brandon Ayuk. I get Ayuk had a really good 2023. He's coming off the injury. So we don't know how he's going to play. I would put the Niners a lot lower. I'd have the Ravens ahead of the Niners if we're talking to the teams. I'd put the Commanders ahead of the Niners. Like, there's a lot of other teams. Even the Bucks I'd have ahead of the Niners. Like, there's so many other teams I'd put ahead of the Niners. Comment down below where you think the Rams rank on this list. I said 3 or 4 is fair. You could have 5. So comment that down below right now. And that is all for this episode of Rams Digest. Thank you very much for watching. As always, remember to subscribe to the channel and hit that notification bell. Turn them to all so you do not miss a single daily new Rams Digest video covering all things Rams. And make sure to subscribe so we hit our 4K goal by July 24th, the start of training camp. And comment down below your thoughts on the Kyren extension. What should the Rams pay him? Should they pay him at all? Should they let him walk or trade him? I'm saying if the Rams can't get to around that $7 million number for salary, I would try to trade him to see what you can get. And comment down below your thoughts on the Rams skill position group. I have them ranked in between 3 and 5. Comment that down below as well. I've been your host, Joshua Finehirsh. Thank you very much for watching another episode of Rams Digest. I hope you enjoyed it. I'll see you soon for another one, and have a great rest of your day.